Hey everyone, this is Mayhem, and this is my first edition of a new show I'm going to put out there on YouTube called Random Fandom. This is a show where I'm going to be just basically hashing out my thoughts and feelings about upcoming stuff in the world of fandom, stuff about movies, comics, TV, occasionally video games, all that kind of stuff that I live and breathe and do every day when I really should be working and doing other things instead. Some of you may be fans of my other YouTube show, The Grudge Match, that I've had a few episodes up, and I've been on hiatus from doing that for quite a while. If you are a fan of that, don't worry, there is going to be more Grudge Matches to come. I've been really stressing to get around to making some more of them, and I'm finally settling down my schedule to the point where I think I'll have some time in the upcoming few months that I can get a few more episodes out there. So there's definitely more Grudge Matches coming. If you haven't seen those, jump over to my page and give a listen to those. I enjoy making them. I've had a lot of people commenting on them, so definitely more Grudge Matches to come. But this is the new show I'm doing, Random Fandom. We're going to be looking at all kinds of stuff in the world of fandom, and I wanted to get this started now here at the start of summer because we are just on the cusp of starting the summer movie season, and, there's a couple already come out. This is May 17th. There's one coming out today that I'm going to be talking about, but I wanted to kind of go over the big movies that are going to be coming out this summer, and the ones that are going to be the big summer blockbuster ones, and kind of give my perspective on how I think they're going to be, if I'm looking forward to them. So I'm going to give them star ratings based on how much I'm anticipating seeing them. If I give it 0 stars, that means I'm going to actively avoid seeing that film. If it gets 1 star, don't care if I never actually end up seeing it, not interested in seeing it that much. Give it 2 stars, wouldn't mind seeing it, but might wait till it comes out on video. 3 stars, definitely will be seeing it in theaters, and 4 stars, absolutely can't wait, want to see it right now. Why is it not in theaters already? So, starting off with May 17th today, so that's the day we're going to start off on, and that, of course, is the big release today, Star Trek Into Darkness, the second movie in the new Star Trek franchise from J.J. Abrams. Enjoyed the first one. For what it was. I grew up on Next Generation, and then I was heavy into Deep Space Nine, and then I was heavy into Voyager, so those were the ones I like. I never got too big into the original and Kirk, and I know if there's any Trekkies listening, you want to fillet the skin off my body for saying that, but I enjoyed it for what it was, with all the lens flare and the Dutch angles. But my only real concern with this next one, with Into Darkness, is that they're treading on Star Trek sacred ground. They're redoing Khan. And easily the best of the original movies was Star Trek II Wrath of Khan. Easily, hands down, the best. Ricardo Montalban owned that character. So I'm just concerned that they're stepping on the best of the series already. And, how do you live up to Wrath of Khan? They may do it. It may be awesome. They may overshoot all my expectations. Have to wait and see. I give Star Trek Into Darkness 3 stars of anticipation. Definitely going to be seeing it in theaters. Keeping my hopes up for it that they live up to the legacy of Wrath of Khan. Moving on to May 24th, there's 2 kind of big movies that are going to be coming out on May 24th. Neither one that I'm too psyched about. The first, Fast and Furious Part 6, the 6th entry into the Fast and Furious series. I saw the first one. I saw the first Fast and Furious. I got about halfway through it, and I said, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be watching this too much longer. Didn't see any of the ones after that, and never intend to see any of them as long as they keep making them. I have no real problem with Vin Diesel. I have no real problem with action for the sake of action. I love, the Transporter series. That's car driving action just for the sake of stupid action. Generally like that stuff. Something about Fast and Furious just rubs me the wrong way. Not my cup of tea. And so I'm giving that one 0 stars of anticipation. Not looking forward to it. Going to actively avoid it. I can't imagine that I'd even really know what's going on if I tried to watch Fast and Furious 6. Having not seen 4 of the previous movies, I'm well out of the loop and don't really care all that much to get into the loop. The other movie that's coming out that weekend, that's probably going to be making huge bank, Hangover Part 3. I really enjoyed Hangover 1 for the stupid humor factor of it. Stupid humor is great, just like stupid action. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You don't have to have a deep, intricate, thought-provoking kind of plot for every movie. But then when it came to Hangover 2, I kind of avoided it because I saw the trailers and I felt like I was watching a trailer for Hangover 1. And everything I heard about it from people who had seen it said, well, have you seen Hangover 1? I'm like, yeah. Well, then you've seen Hangover 2. I kind of get the feeling that's what this is going to be. It's going to be more of the same, and not that there's anything wrong with that. If you are tickled pink by both of the previous Hangover movies, great. Personally, I could take them or leave them. I didn't, like I said, didn't see the second one, saw the first one, kind of liked it. But so I give Hangover 3 1 star of anticipation. If I never see it, I don't really care. If it's on, I may watch it, sometime when it's on FX or one of the movie channels. So not the biggest week, May 24th, as far as I'm concerned, for films. But then a couple weeks later, June 14th, that's when potentially the biggest movie of the summer is going to be dropping with Man of Steel. Now, of course, if you're into comic book movies like I am, you have to approach every DC movie with a bit of trepidation, because DC is really hit or miss with their movies. Or really, it's not DC's fault. It's Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers does not know what they're doing when it comes to their DC properties. And if you need proof of that, Green Lantern, Catwoman, Jonah Hex. We want to go back in time a little bit. We could talk Shaquille O'Neal in Steel. Yeah, the rubric from which all bad comic book movies are judged by resides in the DC movies. But this one could potentially be a knockout. Zack Snyder is the director, has a lot of really great stuff under his belt. I've really enjoyed a lot of the stuff he's done in the past. And Christopher Nolan, of course, with the Dark Knight trilogy, is on board as the executive producer. So this is really going to be kind of a blending of Zack Snyder's style of movie making, and if you've ever seen 300 or Sucker Punch, it's very visually striking, and Christopher Nolan's kind of sensibilities. So it could potentially be a great fusion. My concern with it is twofold. One, I have the same kind of problem with the story for the Man of Steel that I have with Star Trek Into Darkness, is that they're stepping on the best of the original series. Man of Steel, the bad guy, General Zod, who was the villain of the absolute best of the original Christopher Reeve Superman movies in Superman 2. So, again, they're stepping on kind of the holy grail of Superman movies by trying to redo the best one. Also, and I'm especially saddened to see that character coming back, General Zod coming back again, when there are so many other Superman villains I have been waiting my entire life to see on the big screen. Where is Darkseid? More to the point, where is Brainiac? If they're going to be rehashing the origin again, disavowing Superman Returns, and they should, and if they're going to be redoing the origin, shouldn't they be doing Brainiac as the villain? The guy, the creature who actually destroyed Krypton, shouldn't he be making an appearance as the primary villain? But no, they're bringing Zod back again, which we've already seen, they've already done, but it could potentially be great. It could still be great. I'm not writing it off as a terrible thing. The other thing I'm concerned about with Man of Steel is the blending of Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan's movie-making sensibilities. That kind of style works great for something like Batman that is supposed to be kind of dark and gritty and, almost film noir in its intensity and seriousness, but Superman is supposed to be light, bright colors, red, white, and blue, and very much almost campy in a way, in that we've got a character here who's dressed in red and blue and saying that, he believes in truth, justice, and the American way. It's almost supposed to be cheesy, and if you don't approach it from a genuine perspective of believing in that character and believing in him being a bright, shining beacon of hope, it could kind of go downhill fast. So I'm worried that Zack Snyder's style of filmmaking and Christopher Nolan's dark, gritty kind of Dark Knight style won't really lend itself to the Man of Steel. But again, I could be totally wrong. You can tell this is the movie that I'm really psyched about the most this summer. I've already spent a lot of time talking about it, more so than any of the other ones. But I give Man of Steel 3 stars of anticipation. I have some reservations about it, but I'm definitely going to be seeing that one and keeping my fingers crossed that it lives up to the hype that it could be. The week after that, June 21st, another movie that is kind of hit or miss, could be great, could be bad, in World War Z. Love me some zombie movies. Anytime you're slapping zombies into a film, I will see it, even if it's a direct-to-video piece of crap, and believe me, I've seen more than my share of those. So anything with zombies, you've already got me. So it's going to be Brad Pitt in a world being overrun by zombies, trying to, save his family and fight against them and find a cure. They're not real clear on the details of the plot in the trailer, but it does look very visually interesting. We've got fast-moving zombies that are, if you've seen the trailer, they're like making towers out of their own bodies to try to climb up and get to a helicopter that's in midair, and it's crazy visually striking images. So could be really good, but like all zombie movies, it has a inherent capability of being really terrible. So we're going to see how that one goes. That one's getting 3 stars of anticipation from me. Looking forward to it. Definitely going to see it in theaters. Could potentially be a stinker, but keeping my fingers crossed for it. The next one this summer that I feel is probably going to be a big one, bringing in lots of cash cows, is on July the 5th, and it's The Lone Ranger. It's a movie I've been hearing about since over a year ago when it was, first being teased and talked about and casting really started. It's kind of one of Disney's big ones of the summer that they're really pushing. And I was never a fan of the show. It was well before my time, and never a big fan of the character all that much. I like Westerns as much as the next guy, but, I've had some reservations with this one. I'm getting a little sick of Johnny Depp. I loved him in the Pirate of the Caribbean trilogy, 4 movies, and the problem I have is, if you've seen the trailers, if you've seen the previews, it really almost looks like he's doing the same thing. He looks like he's being Captain Jack in Indian, Native American getup. And by the way, is it bothering anybody else that they got a white guy to play the one Native American character in the movie? I know people have been talking about that online ad nauseum, and it's almost a dead issue at this point. It's been argued to death, but just sits a little wrong with anybody else but me. And it basically looks like Pirates of the Caribbean done in the Old West. It's the same director from the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and it looks like the exact same kind of over-the-top action, swashbuckling kind of stuff without the pirates and swashbuckling. So could be good, but it's just the lead guy, Armie Hammer, sounds like a baking soda or something, and don't really know him from anything else, so it's not like it's got big star power that's going to pull me in, like I said, aside from Johnny Depp, who I'm getting a little tired of at this point. So I don't really see anything in it that's really sparking my interest. So that one's getting a 1 star of anticipation for me. If I never see it, I don't care. If it's eventually on TV and I've got nothing else to do, I'll sit down and watch it, but not something I'm going to go out of my way to see. The week after that, June the 12th, we get the other movie besides Man of Steel that I am highly anticipating for this summer, Pacific Rim. Nobody saw this movie coming. With something like Man of Steel or Star Trek or all the Marvel movies that have been coming out recently, we knew they were coming. We knew what was going to happen. We knew they were going to be coming out eventually. Pacific Rim, relatively new idea, not based on any book or TV or comic or anything like that. So we've got a pretty fresh idea of giant robots being used to fight giant monsters. It is a bit like Power Rangers, given an actual budget and done in a more American style, I suppose. But still, if you can watch the trailer for Pacific Rim and not get at least a little hyped about what it's going to be and how it looks, then I can't even relate to you in terms of the kind of movies you like. This looks so freaking good to me. It looks like it's just going to be super action all the time, great special effects, and a decent fairly unique story, the kind of thing we haven't really seen played out in an American movie. If you want to go to the Godzilla stuff, that's over on the other side of the world, but, from an American standpoint, haven't really seen this kind of stuff done in our kind of summer blockbuster season before. So I'm really, really actually looking forward to this one. Looks like it's going to shape up to be the surprise hit of the summer, I think, possibly. So this one's actually getting 4 stars of anticipation from me. I can't wait to see this one. I want it to be out now. Unless it just ends up being a total god-awful, surprising mess, I think it could be potentially the breakout hit of the summer. A week after that is another movie that I'm pretty highly anticipating, but it's probably not going to be as big over-the-top success as Pacific Rim is probably going to be. It's July 19th, Red 2, the sequel to the Bruce Willis movie from a few years back, which wasn't a huge hit. I mean, it made its money back. It did what it was supposed to do. That's why it got a sequel. But I really, really, really enjoyed the first one. I really enjoyed the first Red, and so I'm, of course, looking forward to the sequel. They got all the old cast back, sans Morgan Freeman, but they're replacing him with some other guys. Anthony Hopkins going to be in this one. Who does not love Anthony Hopkins? I mean, the man is going to live forever and keep being awesome in every movie he's been in and ever will be in forever. He's the immortal actor, probably my favorite actor of all time, maybe next to Morgan Freeman. So, they don't have Morgan Freeman from the first one, but they're replacing him with my other favorite older actor in Anthony Hopkins. So really, really looking forward to this one. I think it'll probably be just as fun and just as action-filled as the first one was. So this one's getting 4 stars of anticipation. Cannot wait to see Red 2. And the week after that, July the 26th, is going to be The Wolverine, the now 6th installment in the Fox X-Men franchise. They had the X-Men 1 through 3, they had X-Men Origins Wolverine, then they had X-Men First Class, and now we're getting the sequel to X-Men Origins Wolverine in The Wolverine. This one could be hit or miss. I think anybody who's watched all of the X-Men films knows that. There's been a couple great X-Men films, there have been a couple of really horrendously bad X-Men films, and there's been a couple that are somewhere in the middle. So, a lot of people criticized the first Wolverine movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine, as the worst in the series. I don't put it as the worst in the series. I don't put it near the top, certainly, but I kind of enjoyed X-Men Origins Wolverine for what it was, but that's me being like a huge Wolverine fan, like just Hugh Jackman being Wolverine, and I'm on board, I enjoy it. So I think this film is not going to be without its flaws, like all of the most recent X-Men films have been filled with their own flaws, but I still think it's probably going to be enjoyable for what it was. Probably I'm anticipating it being at least a little bit better than X-Men Origins Wolverine, the first one. So I'm giving this one 3 stars of anticipation, so definitely going to be seeing it in theaters. I know a lot of people who are fans of the X-Men movies are so jaded at this point and so tired of Wolverine that, they can't stand to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine anymore. I never get tired of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine myself. So, and definitely interested to see what he's going to be doing in the period of his life that he spends in Japan. If you're a comic book reader and you know Wolverine's backstory, he spent a lot of time in Japan, and that was always felt was something left out from the Wolverine in the movies. So now we're getting that aspect of Wolverine's life done in movie form. So looking forward to it. All right, just a couple more. August the 9th, actually, is going to be another movie kind of like Pacific Rim that nobody really saw coming. Could actually be really good. It's the film Elysium, starring Matt Damon. It's a sci-fi movie. I guess the story is there's 2 worlds, and one world is where all the rich upper class people live, and the other world is where all the working class dregs of society live, and Matt Damon's trying to go from the poor planet to the rich planet, and he gets like this souped up mech suit kind of thing that he uses to fight off the police who are trying to stop him getting to the other world. And if you've seen the trailer, it actually looks very action-packed and looks like it could be another one of those breakout hits that nobody saw coming. So, looks sci-fi epics. I always like those. So, could potentially be really good as well. But don't really know enough about it. Haven't really seen enough from it to gauge whether or not it's going to be a good story as well as good action and good acting, or if it's going to kind of be a mishmashed mess of elements. So I'm giving that one 3 stars of anticipation. Definitely going to see that one in theaters, but have a few reservations about it because not sure of Matt Damon in a sci-fi role. Obviously, he can do action. He's Jason Bourne. Surely he can do that, but not sure about the sci-fi side of things. Which pretty much takes us to the end of the summer movie season. Kids are back in school after that. There's certainly going to be some upcoming movies after that are still going to be good, looking forward to them, but at that point, summer movie season has come to a close. But I did want to make special mention of one film, since I didn't get this done a week ago when Iron Man 3 came out, or was that 2 weeks ago? Back when Iron Man 3 came out, didn't have this done in time, so I can't talk about all the movies of the summer without making mention of Iron Man 3. I definitely am on board for all of these Marvel films that we've gotten from all the way since the first Iron Man, all the way through now to Iron Man 3, and all of the Marvel movies that have been in between. I'm in love with all of them. Iron Man 2 had its problems, obviously. I can be objective. Iron Man 2 was easily the worst of the series of all of these Marvel movies, but Iron Man 3 recently came out, and I loved it. A lot of people who know me thought I was not going to be so into it because I'm not going to give anything away, no spoilers here, but it doesn't really follow the comics. Some of the characters don't follow the comics, and sometimes I can be a bit of a stickler for that, but this one, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the way they kind of rewrote some of the characters and some of the storyline from the comics. It didn't bother me that much. You have to be able to take some liberties with the comics when you're transferring it into a movie form, just so long as you keep the spirit of the characters pretty much the same. And I know there's one big thing that people point to about Iron Man 3 about being a wild detraction from the comics. I won't spoil what it is in case you haven't seen Iron Man 3, but I could forgive it. I liked Iron Man 3 enough, and all of the elements of it, and all of the action of it. I thought it was good enough all around that it was not as good as Iron Man 1, which was a phenomenal movie, but better than Iron Man 2. So I think it lives up to the series, to the franchise, and is a good installment in all of these Marvel movies that we're getting. So I had that one before I saw it at 4 stars of anticipation. Couldn't wait to see it, and I think it held up. I think it lived up to that particular expectation. All right, so that takes us to the end of the major movies for the upcoming, actually, we're in the summer movie season, and if you agree with what I've said, great. If you don't, great. Hey, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, so certainly don't fill up my comments with telling me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about and I can go to hell. Well, I mean, you can, but I get enough of that at home. But thanks for listening, and I know I've been ranting for like 25 minutes now, and if you're still listening, you've either fallen asleep or you've got a hell of a lot more patience than I usually do, but I appreciate it. I appreciate you sticking around, and I will try to get some more of these kind of things up pretty regularly, at least throughout the summer. But, so yeah, this has been the maiden voyage episode of Random Fandom, talking about the summer movie season, and hope at least you get out there and enjoy some great movies this summer. Hope they all live up to all of our expected hype and anticipation. And thanks for listening, and I'll see everybody next time around.